Namaste everyone. Welcome to this webinar 250 and our topic this evening in India and this morning in North America is going further on Hinduism. This is the fifth episode on getting to know basics of Hinduism. God willing, we will eventually go to certain deeper aspects and deeper dimensions of this vast perennial philosophy. For now, we have been touching upon basic concepts and tools and techniques, exercises that are prescribed in Hinduism for adherents, for those who follow Sanātana Dharma. There is a wide range of options which they may choose from and incorporate in their daily life. Not only in Hinduism, but perhaps in all religions, the human mind tends to keep away God, religion, etc. to a great extent. In some religions, maybe it is somewhat compulsory for them to go on Sundays to the church, to the mosque, or some other place of praying. And in Hinduism, a lot of freedom is given. But at the same time, you will find that at a lot of temples, to go and have darshan is not easy. In the last 1 month, I went twice to Tiruvannamalai, Arunachaleshwara. Both the times, it took a very long time to go have just 30 seconds of darshan of Shiva, Arunachala. And so was the case in March when I had gone to Tirupati for Sri Venkateshwara Darshana. Even after buying some special tickets, it's not so easy. Therefore, it is not true that Hindus have sort of walked away from their places of worship. Crores and crores go to temples, crores and crores attend the big events like the Kumbh Mela in Prayag, and you name it, every festival draws large numbers. Therefore, sometimes comparing Hinduism with another religion, at least sometimes appears to be comparing an apple with an orange. So, once more I would say, in Sanātana Dharma, there is a lot of diversity, but there is certain common ground which holds us all together. In the last webinar itself, which was episode 4, we had taken up the two mantras, Gāyatri and Mahā-Mrityunjaya. But I guess we ran short of time and did not do justice even to some basics of the two topics of the two mantras. Therefore, here we go and take a look at these two mantras once more. I will go a bit quickly because we had already talked about this. I want to be sure that it is seen. Yes. If you are not seeing this slide, I request Vibha Chaitanya to let me know.
Yeah, it is. We can see it, Swamiji.
It's seen. Thank you. I have always had problems with Google Meet, where many a time people are not able to see the slides I present. On Zoom, in general, I have had it going easy. All right, here we are. And as I said, this is the fifth episode. We hope to do 10 to 12, if not more, episodes on this single theme, Hinduism. So, taking a look at the very well known Gayatri mantra, we have Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, which refers to the three planes, which represent all the 14 lokas, 14 planes. But through the three, we keep in mind every nook and corner of this created universe. And one God rules over this entire cosmos, entire universe. Bhuh, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, literally earth, interspace, and heaven stand for all the domains in which living or inert things could be. Dhimahi is the main verb here. We meditate. In modern Sanskrit, which follows Panini's grammar, the right expression would be dhyayema. Let us meditate. Maybe meditate. For Dhimahi is what they call a Rishi's license. Arsha Prayoga. Arsha means related to Rishi. It is also called Chandasa Prayoga. Chandas means Vedas. Chandasa means what is permitted in the Vedas. Vedas may express some word in a certain way, and Panini's rules may require the same word in another form, but that does not empower or authorize anybody to go change the Veda mantras. The Veda mantras are to be preserved the way they were heard by rishis, the way they were revealed by God. So I said a little about this in the last webinar. This is a very powerful mantra, a very beautiful mantra, even when we look at it from our logical brain. We meditate on that very source deep inside us, which prompts our thoughts. As we think, so we become. If our thoughts are creative, if our thoughts are harmonious, if our thoughts lead to more productivity, if our thoughts are rooted in justice, obviously our life is going to be on a far higher plane than otherwise. So we meditate on that supreme light of God, the word being Bhargaha, probably here too. Modern grammar would require Bhargam, Bhargam Dhyayema. Let's not go too much into grammar. We meditate upon the light of God, and God could be Vishnu, could be Shiva, could be Devi. Take it as you may. And God could be that supreme intelligence which defies any description. That intelligence, that source, which for ease of comprehension we say is in our hearts, but really it is everywhere in the universe. Bahirantascha bhutana, as Sri Krishna puts it in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, a couple of thoughts on this Gayatri. What does the word Gayatri mean? The Sanskrit expansion for that is Gayantam Trayate iti Gayatri. One who sings. Sings here means one who recites. One who recites it regularly, spares a few minutes in her or his daily schedule and recites Gayatri, develops certain inner energy, certain inner power, visible or invisible to others. There are special vibrations about this upasaka. Gayatri very popularly is taken as representing a Devi. For in Sanskrita, there is the Nadi Shabda, which is feminine. Nadi, Nadyau, Nadi, Nadyaha, Nadim, Nadyau, Nadihi, Nadya, and it goes on. Ikaranta, Dirga, I, that is a feminine word. So Saraswati, Parvati, all these are ending in E and they are feminine. So Gayatri is very well taken as representing a female deity. But as the last bullet here shows, a very learned professor in Bengaluru, I happened to be at his class somewhere in 88 or 89 in Jayanagar, when he said this. Gayatri originally probably was a masculine word. Professor S.K. Ramachandra Rao was very erudite on the Vedas, on the Vedanta, on Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, on everything, and on certain other sciences also like Shilpa, like Kala, like psychology. He was, in fact, a faculty of psychology in the Indian Institute of Science, probably at Nimhans also briefly. But later he devoted the rest of his life to promoting the Adhyatma Vidya. Had the opportunity to attend a few classes at his home. On certain day of the week, he would have a small gathering around him. All right. His explanation is Gayatri can also be like the word mantri. Mantri, a minister, is masculine. Shashi, the moon. Chandraha is obviously masculine. Shashi, Shashi, Shashinau, Shashinaha. Or for that matter, Brahmachari. That also has a long E. And Brahmachari is masculine. You want feminine there, it is Brahmacharini. Swami, Swami, Swaminau, Swamina. So, Professor S.K. Ramachandra Rao, who of course is no more now, dwelt on this for a while, and quite possibly, originally in the Vedas, Gayatri meant a masculine deity. We Hindus always have been very receptive to multiple possibilities, and these multiple possibilities in no way reduce the effectiveness or efficacy of the mantra. Choose the form of God, form of deity, as it suits you, but more importantly, involve in the recitation of it with heart and soul, with Shraddha, learn the right pronunciation and do it a few times at least in the morning, in the evening. Gayatri Mantra was like the backbone of the Vedic culture. Every boy in the traditional setting of the three Varnas was taught Gayatri, was initiated to Gayatri, and beginning the daily Gayatri Japa was at the same time the beginning of Vedic studies, the so-called Upanayana, which can be another topic in this series of uh, talks on Hinduism. Upanayana meant beginning Vedic studies, and in order that one begins Vedic studies, one also wears the sacred thread, one starts reciting Gayatri, if not three times, which is called Trikala Sandhya, at least twice, Dvikala Sandhya. So Devi or Deva, this mantra, through our logical analysis, and that's not everything there is to it, through our faith. Veda mantras, here you may be wondering, your eyebrows may go up. Veda mantras recited with the knowledge of a meaning or without knowledge of meaning can have their impact on you. These days, everybody is intellectually restless. They want to know the meaning, which is welcome. But to imagine that if we don't know the meaning, the mantra would not have any effect on us would be wrong. You don't know who that man is walking at a distance. Suppose you call him, hey, Chandrasekhar. And suppose that man's name is Chandrasekhar. You don't know. You just loudly said Chandrasekhar. And if that man's name is Chandrasekhar, will he not turn towards you? Likewise, you recite a Veda mantra and the divine forces will respond. But if you study, if you develop yourself on the lines of Vedic learning, so much the better. Now we go to a few words on mantra in general. There is a word with a larger scope of meaning, upāsana. Upa means near, asana means sitting. You sit near a source of strength, a source of divinity. You sit near a center of higher vibrations. Sit for long periods of time. Then you are bound to receive that energy which is there in that source, in that center, in that mantra, in that symbol, in that chakra, whatever. So an upasana, which technically we would say a qualified meditation, because then there is the higher meditation, the highest meditation on something which has no description possible. The indescribable, the attributeless, nirguna, nirakara is talked of. That is on a different level. But upasana is meditation on something qualified. Qualified means described. If you say, the Lord I worship is Mahavishnu, Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham, you say, so his form, those are all qualities, qualifications, descriptions. So qualified meditation is upasana, and mantra also is qualified, if not with a certain physical form. The mantra has its distinct shape as the sound. The sound of Gāyatri is different from the sound of Mrityunjaya, which is again different from Ashtakshari or Shodashakshari, etc. So anything which is distinguishable from something else is right away saguna, sakara. So I would like to say upasana is a way of mind management. Today, the sad part of life is machines have become more and more intelligent. AI has come into human life in a big way. It's going to get stronger. Artificial intelligence. But why is it sad? We, the human beings, are losing our intelligence. Our lifestyle is disturbed. Our thinking is disturbed. Our emotions are corrupted in numerous ways. Alas, more intelligent machines and less intelligent human beings. In a parallel way, Swami Chinmayananda lamented in the good old days, the tragedy of modern civilization is decreasing happiness amidst increasing comforts. So he put in contrast comforts and happiness. We are now putting two other things in contrast, machine intelligence and human intelligence. Now, you and I need human intelligence not only to perform well in our professional domains or run a house or meet people and deal with them in the society. We need intelligence to recognize dharma, what is right, what would be the best way of conducting ourselves, of dealing with people. And in that matter, mind has to be managed. Upasana is a general name, a generic name for a number of practices which help us purify our thoughts, enhancing their quality. Our thought might be about sense objects, about taking revenge on somebody, about violence, about pleasure, about self-aggrandizement. We could get caught in those thoughts. They are impure thoughts, all said and done, though they may give a kick of happiness or pleasure for a while. But pure thoughts are, while remaining vibrant and active, while not running away to a cave or anything like that, when we have our thoughts which are more harmonious, which are more win-win, we want others also to be happy. We want ourselves also to be happy. Good thoughts are about increasing inner strength, physical strength, emotional strength. Swami Vivekananda wrote, anything that makes you weak, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, reject it as poison. Reject that as poison, which makes you weak. And knowingly and unknowingly, we get weak in life. We want to regain our strength, self, that's what you call willpower, the strength within oneself. That is purifying our thoughts. And that is enhancing or improving quality. We also have to reduce the quantity, especially all unnecessary thoughts. From one thought, we jump to another thought, and there we go, right? Gaining concentration. Chitta Shuddhi, second bullet. Chitta Ekagrata, third bullet. Gaining concentration, reducing their quantity. I'm quoting Chinmaya once more. Increase in purity and decrease in quantity, he would say. I've also added, in the process, definitely we gather energy. You know how, even in rocket science, the rocket gathers so much of momentum, and when it reaches in its flight, so-called escape velocity, it goes out of the main domain of gravitational pull. Technically, gravity may extend for any number of miles further, but broadly speaking, there is a certain limit, that gravitational domain, and it goes out of Earth's gravity. How it gathers energy. Getting ready for the flight is very common in any aeroplane. When the plane takes off, first it is in taxi mode and it gathers speed. And at the right time, the pilot knows when to maneuver the controls, that it takes a little of angle and then rises. Even though more than a century has passed since the Wright brothers invented the aeroplane, you and I once in a while stop and wonder, how can this huge vehicle with many hundreds upon it on board take off, cross the Atlantic, cross the Pacific? How many, and at high speed? We continue to wonder. But behind that, there is the process of gathering energy. I have a slide now, which is one more analogy. Much before uh, Wright brothers gave us the aeroplanes, from time immemorial, these ants, or not ants, insects have been doing it. And there are scientists who have studied uh, insects and very closely through slow motion, you know.
Yes, Swamiji is dragging it, it's working.
Is it coming now?
Yes, Swamiji. Very clear. But I think Swamiji has started from halfway. Now we came to that 6th slide.
All right. So we will improve upon it next time. That's where I was trying some technical stuff in the beginning. But any one of you can see, put in YouTube, insect in takeoff or insect in flight. You get so many kinds and it's really amazing. And our special attention this evening is towards how there is a phase when they are preparing to fly. I would compare upāsana, whatever Sandhya Vandana you and I may do, whatever meditation we may do, taking a little time off any time during the day, whatever prayers we do, including some asana, pranayama, you and I need to cleanse our mind. We need to make our mind more focused on worthy goals, well-selected goals of life, right? For that, all these mantras and their recitation is very helpful. Now we go to the second mantra, Mahā-Mrityunjaya mantra. This is also very popular, very well known. Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshiya. One sentence. Ma Amritat Mukshiya. Mukshiya is implied in the second sentence too. Free me. Mukshiya means liberate me from death. Do not separate me from my immortal nature. I have studied, I have learned in the scriptures that I am Amrita Swarupa. And please do not take me away from that Amrita Swarupa. Ma Amrita. Ma means don't. We meditate on the three-eyed Lord who is fragrant and is the one that enhances our nourishment. Pushti Vardhanam. Release me from the clutches of death and do not separate me from immortality. As far as releasing from the clutches of death is concerned, an analogy is given. Let that release from death be as easy as how a cucumber gets released from the plant. Urvarukam. In the Sanskrit of today, Urvaruka means a cucumber. So we need to take a look at what this cucumber is. There is a little problem with cucumber. So it seems, I am not a botanist, I am not an agriculturist, but I have heard that in today's world, cucumbers, even when they are ripe, do not fall off easily. You need to pluck them, applying some force. So a scholar in Bengaluru recently gave a talk on this issue. And what I'm sharing with you is what I heard through the video of that Vedanta scholar. He says, these mantras, please remember, are several thousands years old. Possibly cucumbers might have behaved differently those days. There are lots of changes taking place over many thousands of years in the plant kingdom, even in human beings. Or second explanation he gave is, Urvaruka might have meant some other vegetable in old Sanskrit, which had that nature of falling off. Therefore, the best thing is we take the implied meaning, whether today's cucumbers behave like that or not. Urvarukam iva means, may I be freed from this cycle of birth and death, this cycle of being born again and then going through everything and dying again and so on. May I be released from this realm of limitations, just as cucumber, that is easily, leave the cucumber aside, easily, without much suffering. With this, the mantra, which is more connected with Lord Shiva, of course, Mrityunjaya, Mahā-Mrityunjaya mantra, is also said to be very potent, very powerful. Recitation of it, to use a technical language, gives us drishta and adrishta phala. Drishta means what we can see quickly, what we can reason out through our logic. Adrishta is we don't see, and our logic, our reason is not enough to think of the results, but our faith in the Shastras, our faith in the Vedas makes us look at that possibility. Drishta and adrishta. Now we briefly cover in this webinar something about avatar. The word avatar is interesting. When you have uddhara, uddhara means lifting someone, and the second word avatara, avatara is coming down. They are not from the same verbal roots. Uddhara has ut plus har, harati, H-A-R-A-T-I. Avatara has ava and tr, tarati, crossing a river and so on. However, the words with their prepositions mean God does avatara, he comes down for what? To do uddhara of us, the human beings. In the chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna has talked about this. Sambhavāmi, yuge yuge, not once, not twice, again and again I come. Suppose there is a certain disturbance in a country. If the disturbance is of a small proportion, the local administration can handle it. If the disturbance is of a mighty scale, then the central government, the federal government, the army, the armed forces of the country could be sent to that place. Likewise, Mahavishnu himself taking those 10 avatars, or Shiva coming briefly in some form, other god forms coming for a certain time. All this, a mighty divinity up in the higher realms, comes down on the earth for you and me and helps us, saves us, protecting the sadhus and punishing the wicked. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya sanskritam. And in this context, we also talk about Ansha avataras and Purna avatara. It is said even among the avataras of Mahavishnu, Sri Krishna was Purna avatara. Doesn't need more explanation. Purna means displaying a wide range of powers, strengths, and other divine qualities. Saints and sages also are regarded as avatars. The Hindu faith is like that. So we regard someone like Ramana Maharshi as possibly an avatar of Kartikeya, that is Shanmukha, one of the sons of Lord Shiva. This way, avatara is unique to Hinduism, God coming in human form, and like the picture here shows, in a form where the face is of a lion and the body is of a man, with the interesting stories behind all these avatars. I would only say at this point that the Hindu mind always believed in numerous possibilities. All of them are held together by a deep spiritual understanding. Those concepts do not conflict with each other. Various ideas spread horizontally and vertically form a pyramid, and on top we do have the understanding of one supreme God overseeing everything. We have touched upon it before also. Therefore, many avatars, many forms, many names, and many descriptions are welcome. Nobody is asked to study everything that is available. Take what you find appealing, frame or design your sadhana, and rise spiritually is the instruction given in Hindu Dharma. We'll dwell a little more on avatara in the next session also, and then take other topics. Om Namo Narayana. So time for some interaction. Please feel free.
Hari Om Swamiji, Subramaniam.
Yes, Subramaniam.
This upāsana mantra,
Yeah.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Why the
Yes.
two avatars are combined in one mantra, and why it is called Kali Yuga mantra?
What is the first question?
The question is, the two avatars are combined in one mantra, right? Usually, one god is, depicted in mantras, but they combined it and they call
Yes.
it Kali Yuga mantra. I heard that expression. Maybe we can elaborate a little bit.
Yeah. That shows once more the flexibility of the Hindu mind. We have, for example, even one of the saints of in fact, 19th century, Sri Ramakrishna. His name itself had Rama and Krishna. And he, on a certain occasion, said to his devotees, the one who came as Rama and the one who came as Krishna has come now as Ramakrishna. He sort of accepted. Otherwise, generally, he said, I am a humble devotee of Mother Kali. But on a certain occasion, when they asked Sri Ramana Maharshi, are you an avatar of Muruga, Kartikeya? He was very witty. He said, you may think so. I don't mind if you look at me like that. He neither denied nor confirmed it. So the combining of Rama and Krishna in that mantra, which is from an Upanishad, Kali Santara Upanishad, is probably, Upanishads are revelations of God. God's way of helping certain sections of devotees who have a little bit dilemma. They are equally attached to Rama and Krishna. You ask them to leave Krishna, they have agony. You ask them to leave Rama and stick with Krishna, they suffer there too. All right, take both. So this seems to be helping a certain section. And in some organizations, it has been taken as the topmost mantra too. Yeah, that was one part.
Swamiji, if I can add Janakaram here, ISKCON says actually that Rama stands for Balarama. That is what I learned from ISKCON. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Balarama, Krishna Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Interesting. I never heard this before. It's very interesting. Yeah. Because ISKCON, I can appreciate that. They are so focused on Krishna. So even Rama would mean Krishna's brother. Don't take us to another yuga. Because if Rama meant Dasharatha's son, it would mean you are combining Dwapara Yuga's Krishna and Treta Yuga's Rama. So ISKCON, the spirit of ISKCON is being so focused on Krishna, and Balarama is of the same time period, right? Fine, that is welcome too. Thank you, Janakaram.
Interesting.
What was the second part of Subramaniam's question?
No, they call it Kali Yuga mantra, why they call it,
Yeah, these are all certain insights some particular saints received. So we respect it, but we do not take any particular instruction of that kind to be really universally true. See, somebody who is a champion of Nama Japa would say Nama Japa and only Nama Japa can save you. We respect that passion. We respect that energy with which that saint might be advocating Nama Japa. However, in the vast canvas of Hinduism, we know that Jnana Marga, Yoga Marga, and various other combinations have their own effectiveness. They can help somebody a lot. They can help some seekers a lot. Therefore, some people start with Jnana Yoga, go over to Bhakti. There are some who start with Bhakti, come over to Jnana. We do welcome all this. What is important is be true to yourself. If your heart leaps in joy at Vedanta study, even if 100 others in your town are into Bhakti, stay with Jnana. If your heart leaps in joy in Nama Japa or devotional practices, be so. Be true to yourself. Be true to the calling inside you. Either way, keep away from worldly ways which only weaken you, which only cause more distraction in your mind. That's the idea. So those who call it the Kali Yuga's greatest mantra, we have no fight with them. We ourselves may not take that mantra. Some of us may. This has to be taken in spirit, not literally. I think Ravindra Murthy has a question.
Thank you. Pranams, Swamiji.
Yeah, namaste.
Namaskara. When an individual prays, Dhiyo Yonaha Prachodayat,
Yes.
in that act, does he see himself as the thinker and the generator of the thoughts, or does he see the ultimate source as the source of the thoughts in which he himself is a thought? So that brings us to the question, is the thinker
I think you are
really
once more giving a Vedantic vision
himself?
to the mantra yoga, right? There's an intelligence pervading the whole universe in which we ourselves are caught. We are a wave and that intelligence is the ocean. We are not away at all. Is that what you are saying?
In other words, the thinking is an impersonal activity.
Yeah.
Thinking, there is not an individual who generates the thoughts. That individual himself is a thought, and that higher source, that karmadhyaksha, as I had exchanged with you,
you had said before,
is the source of the thought. How do we? So, in that particular phrase, dhiyo yonaha prachodayat, the one who impulses.
Oh, just a moment. There was okay. Okay. I would say that there are many models, and this Vedanta model, there is a certain intelligence which acts as karmadhyaksha, and that is way superior to these conceptualized individualities. We do agree individuality is a concept, but it sounds or it looks very real. Just like in dream, we might find ourselves in a certain way, and at that time that looks very real. Upon waking up, we find that that entity was just an imagination. So, transcending all names and forms, going beyond the boundaries of all individualities, there is that always all-pervasive principle. And Gayatri Mantra can jolly well be taken as invoking that principle and not seeking anything personally. After all, this person who is praying is not to be given undue importance. As the Christian saying goes, thy will be done on the earth as in the heaven. Here too, let the will, let the wish, let the desire, let the sankalpa of that all pervades you spirit, be done. How does it matter whether I become a king or a pauper? Whether I become a powerful person or someone who doesn't count in anything. That kind of submission to God is much supported by this interpretation.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Welcome.
Swamiji, there are some questions on chat box.
Oh, really? Let me take a look.
Swamiji?
Yes. Manu-Smriti, go on.
So this Gayatri mantra, would it be more effective doing it in a Vaikari, that is in loudly, or in the mind itself?
I go by the advice and the instructions of Sri Ramana Maharshi. Any mantra, as long as we don't have enough concentration, should be done in Vaikari. Vaikari means audible. The highest form of sound is para, then there is pashyanti, then there is madhyama. The Vaikari is the one that everyone hears. Very audible and useful for interpersonal communication is Vaikari. Subtler than, more sukshma is madhyama, more is pashyanti. The most subtle is sukshmatama is para. Para, pashyanti, madhyama and Vaikari, they say. So Srinivas-Murthy's question is, should Gayatri be done in Vaikari or should it be done mentally, so softly that no one else hears? So I am saying that Uccha Japa, that is called Uccha Japa, Vaikari, and then there is Manda Japa, then Manasa Japa. We start with Uccha, and as we gain concentration, we go for Manda and then Manasa Japa. So it depends on our own eligibility. When we don't have enough concentration, we try to do soft or Manasa, my mental Japa, we find it's terrible. Mind wanders more than ever. So when we do loud Japa, it's easier to control the mind. So this is a succession, this is a gradation. Begin with loud, graduate to soft, then graduate to mental. That's how I would say. Now, yeah, Dr. Sonpal has something to say. Sadguru Sant Keshav Das' book, Gayatri Highest Meditation, in the last chapter titled Different Gayatris, has talked about 20 Gayatri mantras. Ganesha Gayatri, Narasimha Gayatri, Narayana Gayatri, Mahalakshmi Gayatri, Kali, Devi, Brahma, Hamsa, Agni, Surya, Durga, Hiranyagarbha, Rudra, Aditya, Garuda, Nandi, Shanmukha, Chandra, Yama, Prithvi, and Ayagriva. Yeah, because Gayatri mantra also is a genre, is a category. Therefore, there is Hanuman Gayatri. There is also Gayatri for various saints, where there is the Dhimahi, and then at the end Prachodayat comes. So that structure, if you see Mahanarayana Upanishad, within that Mahanarayana Upanishad, there are 12 Gayatris given. Some of them are included in this. So true. Therefore, I must admit, this was a wonderful, very relevant point. In my lecture, I had focused on what is called Savitra Gayatri. Savitra Gayatri is that Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Then Shweta Arya says, Namaste, about Gayatri mantra. The mantra itself is a prayer to the sun god, but has a feminine name. Please tell about the seeming dichotomy. Yeah, so that's not a problem. The seeming dichotomy. The mantra could be targeted towards a male god, the sun, Surya, but the mantra itself could be a feminine force. Because when we say Gayatri Devi, Devi personified becomes a force when it is not personified. In fact, an interesting question you and I may ask ourselves in these sessions is, are we for persons or are we forces? You know, generally we take ourselves to be persons, personalities. But philosophy tells us that looking at ourselves as personality is a shallow matter, is a shallow outlook. Really speaking, we are certain forces, we are certain energies operating through this personality. Coming back to Gayatri, therefore the mantra, the tool, the equipment or the medium which we use to adore the sun god could have its own description. Therefore, it could be feminine. You could try to go meet a CEO, it's a lady, but the receptionist could be a man. No problem. You talk to the receptionist, get an appointment, then you go in, and the lady CEO says, "Welcome, I have been waiting for you. Come in, take a seat." So the receptionist could be female, the person inside could be male, or the other way around also. Yeah. Dr. Rampai has something to say. Safe travels, welcome to USA. Thank you. By another 7 days, I will be on the American soil, taking part in the Parliament of World's Religions, not as a speaker, to begin with, as someone who will listen, and may be promoted to a speaker. Let's see how it goes. Thank you. Yes, 6 weeks I'll be in the US. Are there basic behavior or practice to be called as Hindu, being born into? Yeah. So as we had said in the very first episode, what makes someone a Hindu? So practices such as prayer to gods like Rama or Krishna, practices like reciting Hanuman Chalisa or Gayatri Mantra, practices like visiting the temples where Vedas and Hindu gods are worshipped, all this makes us Hindu. But somebody doesn't do any of this. The only thing about him or her is his or her parents are Hindus. They do all those things, let us say. Then legally he is a Hindu, but he is yet to be a Hindu through a lifestyle. And never lose hope. Sometimes people who spend years and years with no touch with their religion, something is cooking in them. Suddenly they may get into it in a very nice way. We can be optimistic, but on our part, if there are some people who are not into any religious practice, on our part we can have some discussion with them. Probably they will see the need. Our opinion is, even if we are very intelligent, scholarly, we need religious practices. So Einstein himself said science without religion is lame, and religion without science is blind. So science without religion, take the first part. Science without religion is lame. That means lame means one can't go far. One may accomplish some material needs. One may have a certain social status. But somebody who doesn't go into religion, Einstein would call them lame, would be rather limited in appreciating life's grandeur in full measure. I've heard that J.R.D. Tata and Mother Teresa once were on the flight together. And J.R.D. Tata, who was later made Bharata Ratna and whatnot, much adored personality. He confessed before Mother Teresa on that flight, "Mother, one regret I have is I have not been into religion at all. So busy with this industry, that enterprise, this business, and so on," where he did a great job. The airlines that he started recently again was bought back by Tatas, as you know, come full circle. In 100 ways, we are informed to adore J.R.D. Tata. But his regret was he could not make a foray into religion. So religion is necessary unless somebody is a rare exception. Now, next part is many of us start as religious, use God as means, but never become spiritual, where God is the goal. Yeah, vairagya abhavat. A lot of us are into religion, but our priorities are of the world. Therefore, that taking the plunge into spirituality doesn't happen. But it will happen at the right time. Vairagya. When we see the sad limitations of pleasure, possessions, power, etc., something else, a new chapter will open in us. You kind of talked of Hinduism. You kind of talked as Hinduism being both religious and spiritual. That is not the case for majority. Yeah, I agree. Majority don't have exposure to spirituality. They only have exposure to religion. Therefore, there is a need for more of literacy. If someone studies religion with greater attention, goes into more details, then he or she will come upon the core of religion. Religion has spirituality as its core. Otherwise, we are going round and round in the outer circles. Swami Chinmayananda used to say, spirituality is one, religions are many. Meaning, spirituality is the essence packaged in religions. So those who are into religion only have been appreciating the package. I see the package of a chocolate. I say, wonderful, how nice it is. I must open it and enjoy the chocolate. That is spirituality. I believe, okay, Ashok Sonpal has something to say. You mentioned whether or not one knows the meaning of the mantra, the benefits are the same. No, I wouldn't say the same. The benefits exist, quite a lot of it. By knowing the meaning and keeping the same other factors like faith, etc., the benefits increase. Okay, question is it because the benefits come from vibrations, from chanting the mantra? And the reason it is imperative to have correct pronunciation. Yeah, exactly. The energy where without even knowing the mantra benefits us is because of the right vibrations. Right vibrations. Therefore, it is imperative, as you have said rightly, to have the correct pronunciation, correct sequence of the words of the mantra. In a way, it compares with classical music. So somebody has to learn from a good teacher and sing the classical tunes in a proper way. Then the effect is greater. Very much so. All right, to put it in a mathematical language, if one recites without knowing the meaning, the benefits are 7 on a scale of 10. With meaning, it will become 8, it will become 9. So bulk of lion's share of the benefit comes from right recitation itself, combined with faith. Doesn't know the meaning, but one has faith that this is divine, this is wonderful. I am blessed to have this mantra. Let me repeat it. One has a sense of sacredness about the mantra. That goes a long way. One may not need knowledge. So sometimes these Vedic Pandits are criticized. Oh, they don't know what they are chanting. It is good if they know the meaning of what they chant, but if they don't know the meaning of what they chant, it doesn't reduce their value to the society. If you call
Swamiji?
some... Sorry, yeah.
Swamiji?
Yes, Sir Ramji.
Problem is some of the people try to think about the meaning while they're chanting. Mind cannot handle that.
Oh.
You can only chant without thinking about the meaning. Yeah. If you try to think about the meaning, you will not be able to chant properly.
Yes.
So this is, mind cannot handle that. Mind has to either chant or think. But if you know the meaning before you chant, that's probably better. Correct. Don't try not to think about the meaning while you're chanting. It will not happen.
True, I do understand. However, knowing the meaning doesn't become by itself a penalty or obstacle. As you rightly said, one must, I think you and I should use the word, one must train oneself to keep the meaning away while reciting. Initially, in many matters it happens. Knowledge, which helps generally, can be an obstacle too. So knowledge of the meaning can cause a distraction, but I think by training ourselves, by self-persuasion, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to recite the mantra. I don't want to get into the meaning. I say to myself and get going. Like in a party, you meet somebody and you know something about that man which nobody else knows. That he recently lost an election in his hometown, that he recently suffered financial loss or something. Now you say to him, I know certain personal things about him, but it's not my business to spill the beans here. I will greet him, I will talk to him without opening my mouth. In this way, don't we suggest to ourselves? And those of us who can really do it will be wise. Because unasked, without somebody asking me, I say, meets this person, that he lost his deposit also in the last MLA election. Who asked you? Loud, what you call that? Loose tongue and so on. So it's similar. A loose tongue is not good. Similarly, in japa, unnecessarily going to the meaning is not good. The knowing the meaning can, in fact, as you said, before the recitation, you understand the meaning. That should give us more faith, more regard, more reverence for the mantra. That's about it. During the practice, better not get diverted by the meanings. So I believe there are two more messages. Oh, Manu-Smriti says, Gayatri, the name of the Chandas. Yes, in Ganapati Atharva Shirsha, there is a line, Gayatri Chandas, before the Ganapati Gayatri mantra. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita also says, Gayatri Chandasa Maham. So Gayatri is name of a Chandas, but there is some literature about it, how the Savitra Gayatri has Chandas of Gayatri, but it has some differences too. It has departed from pure form of Gayatri. See, in a typical composition, there are 4 padas, but Gayatri mantra has only 3 padas. And 8, 8 and 8, 24. And in that 24 also, Varenyam, if you recite Varenyam, it's only 23. Varenyam makes it 24. So what about 8, 8, 8 and the last 8? In Chandas, typically 4 padas. So about that, there is literature, you may go into it. There is some story also about it, how the 4th pada was stolen by somebody and so on. Some humorous story of devatas having some game between them. So Gayatri is the Chandas. And while reciting Gayatri mantra, some of you must be doing Asya Gayatri mantrasya Vishwamitra Rishihi Gayatri Chandaha and Savita Devata Jape Viniyogaha, like that you say, and then you start. Some people do some Karanyasa, some, what is that other Nyasa? Anganyasa. There are some things to be done. So Gayatri Chandaha is said also. Right. Last question, Kiran Gandhi. Krishna Avatara is considered to have been in Dwapara Yuga, which is 4,32,000 into 2. This is 8,64,000 years ago. Mahabharata is said to have happened during Veda Vyasa's time, which is estimated to be 2,500 years before Christ in Kali Yuga. How does one reconcile these two facts of Dwapara Yuga, Krishna Avatara and Veda Vyasa depiction? The second figure, that 2,005 years before Christ, must have been from another bunch of scholars, typically Western scholars, who have their own yardsticks. And the first figure is by Eastern people, who go more by faith and certain scriptures. Therefore, we are using 2 different sources and trying to reconcile. That reconciliation will be possible only if we analyze both the systems and then find one system to be maybe false. Both cannot be true unless there is some symbolic meaning.
Swami Yukteswar has said, Swamiji, that really Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, 1,200 years, 2,400 years, 3,600 years, and 4,800 years. So total cycle is 12,000 years. Then again another cycle of 12,000 years. It's explained in Yukteswar's book.
I think clearly. In the autobiography of Yoga, it is given somewhere, right?
It is so, in that logic, it fits in 2,400 years correctly.
Right. Yeah.
Swamiji, you got a comment?
Yes.
You mentioned about the gender in Hinduism.
Yeah.
But if you go to Bhagavatam, it says Purushottama. There's only one Purusha. The rest of us are all females in a God sense. That's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, Veda Vyasa, people mention about Vyasa, your comment I like to hear. Vyasa is the institution. There could be many Vyasas.
True. Vyasa is an institution. Like Shankaracharya is an institution. There are so many Shankaracharyas in Rangeri. So to distinguish them, first one we say Adi Shankaracharya.
Correct.
Yeah, Veda Vyasa. That way it's said about Janaka also. There were many Janakas.
Yeah.
Janaka in the time of Yajnavalkya, then Janaka at the time of Sita, Rama and Sita, they say are different. True. So Purushottama also, there is a famous story, right? Who goes to meet whom? I think Meera goes to meet one sadhu in Vrindavan. And the sadhu has a strict vow. Huh?
Vallabhacharyaji's Gusaiji. This said. Meera goes.
She goes to meet Vallabhacharya?
Vallabhacharyaji's, nephew, Gusaiji.
Acha. Gosai. Okay. So a certain saint, I can't pronounce it rightly. And a message comes from inside that cottage that this saint doesn't meet women. Then Meera says something wonderful. Oh, really? I thought just Sri Krishna is male and all of us are women. That goes back to that saint inside the cottage. He then realizes the visitor is an extraordinary person who is so, soaked in the devotion to Krishna. He then opens the door, comes and receives her. So in Bhagavatam, in what sense it is said, I don't know. I am not a scholar of Bhagavatam, but I appreciate that Purushottama, he is the only male and all others are female. In Vedantic sense, that Brahma alone is the truth. All else is anatma. All else comes on lower levels. So I think these are very nice models. By model, I don't undermine their value. There are different ways of looking at things. And one may adhere. If someone takes it literally, I would rather envy them. Wow, I wish I had that faith, I had that submission. True.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om Harshita, yes.
Yeah, actually, Sushma, I have renamed, sorry.
Okay.
It is considered as male and female probably in the context that the Prakriti and Purusha concept, wherein Prakriti is considered female and Purusha is considered as male. Purusha as in not the actual male and female that we see in nature. It is like the Brahman, which is the only truth, ultimate truth, and the rest everything is Maya, which is considered the Prakriti, or a part of, or a projection of that male, or rather projection of that Brahman as Maya. So it is considered as female.
Yeah.
So in that sense, probably the only Brahman that we see, or the Parabrahman that we see, is the God, which is called as Purusha in that context, not as male and female, but as the Brahman. And Prakriti, which is a female concept, considered as Maya, the rest of the universe, which is projected.
Very well said. Yeah.
Probably.
Very well. In Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, we get that, right? First, there are two Purushas, Dvavimo Purusha Loke, Ksharascha, Aksharascha. Then Sri Krishna hastens to add, Uttama Purushastu Anyaha. There is a Purushottama above this Kshara and Akshara. And that also goes very well with what you have said. The supreme sentient principle is one. Everything else is Prakriti, which is made alive by a reflection of the Purusha.
But
Otherwise,
Swamiji, at the same time, at the Nirguna level, there is no gender, but the Saguna level, there is gender.
Right, exactly. Saguna level, there is gender. Yeah. So what sadhana one adopts it comes into the picture. Yeah, Saguna level, there is. Yeah. In Ramayana, Rama is male and Sita is female.
So it depends upon what your bhava is.
Bhava, that's it. Bhava. So I would once more use the statement, be true to your bhava. Be true to your own feeling. It's so difficult for us in life to be consistent everywhere. Somewhere we, attach too much importance to certain.
But Hanuman said is the best thing I heard about the bhava. If you are if you have a deha bhava, you become a dasoham.
Yeah.
If you are a jiva bhava, you say I'm a amshaham. I'm your amsha. If you're atma bhava or consciousness principle, there is no difference between you and God.
Yeah.
That's simple as that. So it depends upon which power you want to invoke.
Very well
said. If you want to stay in dasa bhava until you die, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to stay as Vishishta Advaita, as a being Amsha all your life, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to be Advaita and become, think of different bhavas, that's fine. That's hard to achieve, but so I like that what said by Bhagavan Hanuman.
Very nice. That shloka you have brought in it in the most relevant manner. Deha bhavena dasoham
Jiva
bhavena twadam shakaha atma bhavena tvamevaham iti me nishchitamati. Something like that. That is a much quoted shloka, which of course certain schools do not accept it. They in fact ask, where is it said? Some mischievous person has coined it, etc. That's a different story. Because it puts the three schools in a hierarchy that may not be acceptable to some who are very attached to particular school. But it's a very popular shloka. Thank you. So looks like the discussions on Hinduism are generating a lot of interest, and I'm also excited. So we will have the 6th episode after 2. We'll announce.
We are looking forward to meeting you.
Yes, we will in North America. Yeah. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve Hari Om.